Excellent. This is MS Office Hours. Today is October the 17th, 2019. And today we have with us Jethro from the Teams Product Group. And Jethro, you're going to teach me how to pronounce your last name properly so I don't butcher it on the recording.
That's fine. It's Siggers.
Siggers. There you go. See,
Yep.
I should have
I
had that.
always thought it was pronounced tall. I'm sorry about that, Jethro.
That's totally fine.
Awesome. So Jethro has been doing some amazing things, coming around to various customers and really working through some full day presentations on things. And one of the topics that he covered off on was this idea of shifts, what used to be staff hubs, some of that type of stuff. And in particular, what we wanted to do was cover how does that fit in an education scenario. Really, the truth is, I started looking at doing this presentation. Thought this is stupid. Jethro's better at it than me. Let's just call him. So with that, man, let you introduce yourself
Sure.
further and kick it off.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, Preston. So my name is Jethro Siggers. I'm actually originally from Belgium, so if I would pronounce my first and last name as I would normally pronounce it, it would be very, very difficult for you guys. So I kind of Americanized it, and so that's pretty much how I walk through life now. Pretty much, I'm a senior program manager or customer program manager at the Teams engineering team, specifically for Teams and EDU. And I cover South Central and half of Midwest. I also take care of partners. So if you need anything around partners and Teams and EDU, always happy to help you with that as well. So Preston kind of asked me in the next 30 minutes to kind of showcase you guys what shifts looks like within Teams and EDU and what the different use cases are. And so instead of just going out and get my good old PowerPoint presentation, I thought let's just go immediately deep dive into how the product works. And so what we're going to do is really showcase you what you need to do to make this work, what is required, but also what is the user experience. And we're going to look at it from two perspectives. One is the administrator who creates the shifts, who create and receives the time off requests or needs to approve them, and what is also the experience when you're actually the one who needs to do a shift. So how does it look like on a mobile phone? So I will be joining with one of my test accounts to kind of show you like how does a shift work, how does the time clock works, what can you provide, what are the different options here. So without further ado, let me share my screen. And if you have any questions, feel free to like interrupt me and let me know if you can see my screen.
We can see it.
Okay, perfect. Now you already see here that I'm in my shifts module. So let's just go to the view that most of you actually know. This is just your basic Teams view when you log in with all the teams that are available. This is our simplified view that we've released a few months ago that you can see here. Now, if you want to go into shifts, what you're going to have available is under the ellipsis, you will actually see here a module called shifts. So let's do that real quick. Let's load this in. And every shift module is a part of a full-blown team. So in my case, that is a part of my facilities teams. So you can make this available in a number of teams if you want to go through that. But pretty much that's how you're going to deploy that specific shifts. Now, first thing that we're going to do is, of course, create groups. And what you see here is I've actually created 3 groups that kind of relate to like 3 specific use cases that we're going to see both in K-12 and in higher education. Everybody has maintenance workers. Everybody has cafeteria workers. In K-12, we also have, for example, school drivers. And Nick Smith, who is a member of my team, can actually tell you a few good use cases around bus drivers. He has some amazing customers that he works with who have been using this specific use case very intensely. But you can also bring in here your students. So if you have student workers, campus workers that you want to bring in, this is something that you can do is here. So what you start doing is just creating the group. And you see here, you have the 3 groups that I'm working with. If I want an additional group, I click here on add group. I can call this my student workers, and then I can start adding users, and I can just here immediately make this available. I have Megan Bowen that I want to add. This is just a regular user, and you're going to see here now that I have those available. If I want to add more, I can do Cheryl, save, and now you're going to see that you have this actually available. Now, of course, I have Cheryl already here available, and that's where that day vacation actually comes in. So she has an all-day vacation available here, so that is immediately available here as well. Now, per group, you're going to see that you have 2 sections. One is the open shifts. So for example, last Tuesday, I had an open shift from 7 till 11 p.m. That means that whoever wants to pick up an additional shifts because they need some additional money, because they have some time off, because they just want to do an additional shift, or a shift was just not assigned to that person, they actually are going to be able to pick that up. The second thing you're going to see is all the different users that are a member of your group with the shifts that they already have available, right? So here in this case, Cheryl had a shift on Monday from 1 till 5, on Tuesday from 1 till 5, had the day off on Wednesday, and then had a shift, or is technically should be on her shift from 1 till 5 today. Now I can actually add here an additional shift. So let's do that. I can define from what time to what time. I can customize my labels here. I can add all the unpaid breaks that I want. I can also add shifts notes, and that will be distributed to the person who needs to do this shift. But I can also add here activities. So just imagine that she needs to work, let's say, in a cafeteria. So normally what we can do here, let's do from 1 till 2:30, pre-meal work, and we will put that in pink. Then we're going to do meal distribution. Put that in green from 2:30 till like 4, and then finally dishes. We make that yellow from 4 till 5. And for each activity, I can identify if this is paid or not. Just gives a nice overview of all the different activities that are necessary in this specific shift, right? So all this information can be saved here. I'm going to save this. And right now, what you're seeing is that there's a little asterisk on this specific shift. Now, this actually just means that we've made an update, and this has not been distributed yet to the people who actually received that shift. So what you're also going to see is that when that asterisk is here, you see that same asterisk on this button, which means share with team. And now when I click this button, now this is going to be distributed to my team. So now all the changes that you've made are going to be distributed to the users. So in this case, there's one additional assigned shift that I have here. I can choose to make the notification to be sent to the entire team or just the affected team members only. The notifications here are the same notifications that you have here. So that means that if you just for your whole team, even though that none of their shifts have changed, they will all get a notification saying, hey, a new work schedule has been published. If you choose this one, only Cheryl, who got that new shift, will get that notification because something changed for her. So from a best practice perspective, you can actually have this available here. You share this, and now you're going to see that this is completely gone, right? So the asterisk is gone, the share with team is gone, and now this has become a part of Cheryl's shift. So you can customize this. You can make this an open shifts. So we can actually right click on this, say copy. We can paste this, same thing. You see that it's a new one. I can share with team. And this is now an OpenShift, and I will show you in a bit how that works. Now, before we go into the end user perspective, what are the administrative settings? What can we actually do here? What can we put in the settings that we can customize? First, of course, the time zone. What is the basic time zone where the shift is going to be created in? Since we are using the mobile phone to actually do and execute the shift, it will automatically translate the shift to the time zone that your user would be in. You can identify the start of the week. You can identify if you want open shifts. If you don't, you just disable that and everything has to be a assigned shift. And then, of course, what you also have here is the options to do request off times. And so right now, by default, you have vacation all the way to unpaid. But if you want to add things, like, for example, I couldn't get to work because of weather conditions. And so you can actually add custom options with a nice icon and make that available. And then finally, it's your time tracking. Do you want to make time tracking available? And so here mine is on, but do you also want to do geofencing so that you can only make this available on a specific location, or do you just want to make it available everywhere? So in this case, I'm just going to turn it on, but no geofencing, and then you just save your changes and you're ready to go. Right, so now I have all these shifts available. Of course, I can switch between different views. And here at the top, of course, you can also use copy schedule, which is just going to take a schedule for a week and copy it to the next week, which is a lot easier than create every single shift over and over again. Very easy to do. So we're here at the 17th. So what we're going to do is from this week till here. Sorry, from that till that. And then from the 19th, copy. And now if I go to the next week, you're going to see that I have the same schedule. So you can absolutely do that here. So what we're going to do now is actually go into the mobile phone. And let me just join this meeting. There we go. And I'll stop sharing this screen. Come on, mobile phone. There we go. Ta-da! Oh, there we go.
It's like movie magic right there.
So what I'm going to do, no, not cancel. The first thing I want to show you real quick is you see here at the bottom that you have the same type of buttons. Now, I don't know if you guys were aware, but you can actually customize that bar. So you have this little orange little bar, and you can actually do a swipe up. Right? And so right now what you see here is that you have the same applications available that you would have in your desktop application or into your mobile application. So you see also that some of the applications that I made available for my student, so Cheryl is a student in my organization, is available here. So you can actually customize these by using app policies, and you can customize that. Now, if you want them to customize this on their own, you can do that here as well. And you see that you can shift them around. So one of the things that I've done is made shifts available. So you can actually see it here, but I can customize them as I see fit. So if you want to explain to your end users how to customize this bottom bar, you can absolutely do that. So I'm going here into my shifts. And so right now what you have here is my shift for today, my shift for tomorrow. And at the top, you see the requests to open shifts and the time clock. So imagine I want to pick up an open shift. I'm just going to click on open shifts, and I see here that there's an open shift available from 1 till 5. But there's also a conflict because I already have a shift. So I should not, this is just an indication that I should not take this open shift because I already have an open shift. I can click on this open shift and I see here all the information that is assigned to that shift. If I go into the shift where I've added the activities, you actually see here that I have the pre-meal work, the meal distribution, and the dishes, so I know exactly what to do. Now, for every shift, you have two options. One is the swap, and really means at that point that you're going to swap your shift with somebody else's shift. And so you can then go out, pick somebody's shift, and first of all, offer them your shift and do a swap with yours. Now, the person that you want to swap with, of course, have to approve that. When they've approved it, then your manager has to approve. So it's a two-way approval actually that is going on there. If you don't want to do this and offer your shift to somebody else and you don't want something in return, that's where you use the offer. So you can say, I'm not really feeling so great, but I know that Megan is available tomorrow. So I can offer this to, for example, Megan. There we go. Done. And of course, Megan has to still accept it, and then your manager has to accept that too, right? And we have here our final or our time clock that we can use. So what I'm going to do is start my shift. I'm actually already late. I should be on the clock for 46 minutes. And now you're going to see that I'm on the clock. This is going to start running up. If I want to take a break, I can start my break. And now I'm on a break, and that is going to count as well. When I'm done with my break, I stop my break and I'm back on the clock. So you see this whole information. You see also what team that I'm a member of, where this shift lives. When I'm done with my shift, I stop, and now I'm here. And you immediately get a nice timesheet of everything that you've done, right? Now, what you can do here is say, oh, I saw that, no, this actually is not 100% right. So my clock in was, or my clock out was not at 32, but was actually at 11. You can customize this. Now, of course, you're going to see that your administrator will visually see that something was updated. There we go. Save, confirm, confirm. And once it's confirmed, you can't change it anymore, of course. So that's something that is important to understand. So I see here at the top all my requests. So for example, here is where the offer I made to Megan to pick up my shifts. I can see all the ones that are still in progress. I can see the ones that are done. If I want to create a one, I can say, for example, I want a time off. I'm going to take, I know it's going to snow on Monday, so I'm taking a weather day off. All day for, let's see, the 21st. Done, done. And of course, this is still pending. Your manager still needs to approve this, right? Now, why is this so important that this fits within the Teams client? Well, understand that, for example, the administrator is actually my manager. So I can use the same application now to start having conversations. For example, something is wrong in the kitchen. So you can use the same application to have the conversation around what is going on in the same application as where you're having your shift. And for student workers, in the same application where they're doing their assignments, where they're having chat with their friends, where they're a member of the student club, this is the same application that is available here. And when I go back into my shifts, I have everything available here. And now we're going to go back to my regular screen and show you how the administrator is going to get all that information that he or she needs to approve. And that's also a nice way to show you how, for example, you can share your mobile screen when you're doing presentations. So you don't have to spend $20 on some application if Teams can do that for you. So sharing my other screen again.
That was great, by the way. That one tip alone, I called Jethro. How do you do that, man? And he had to explain it to me. I was like, dang it. I was going to go use some horrible app for it. So thanks, man.
Sure.
Jethro, this was really, really, really good. When is this presentation going to be posted? I Skyped our CIO about it, and he was very interested.
I am set up so that when this thing's done processing, I can post it. So Dave and I are going to have a bet. I'm going to up it to $5 that it's posted by midnight tonight.
I don't even know what I can add after that.
But it's not done yet. So now I'm on the administrative side. So you see here that time request I put in here. I can actually now say, okay, you're going to take a day off for weather. Okay, I will entertain it and I will approve it. So now it becomes a permanent thing. So now it's a part of their shift. Still, you still need to share it with with everybody, right? So here under the requests, you're going to see all the open shifts. So in this one, there's an open shift. Here's one, there's another one. So you can see all these requests coming in, but it's now a part here as well. So you can actually see all the changes, all the requests that were happening for that specific user. You can also print this. So you can print this, you can scale this to one page, you can export this. Where does the export live? Well, under settings, you have here time reporting. You export this. You export, we are the 17th, so export. This is going to give you a nice Excel file. Let's open this up and show you how it, there we go. Well, now it, of course, on my different screen. There we go. Are you going to see that it's color coded? So that means that if changes were made, like for example, like what I did, where I changed the time that I clocked out, you always want to make sure that you track that. And so that's the reason why we have here the different colors. So if it would be in red, it would be edited. If it would be in purple, then it's added. If it's blue, then it's deleted. So as an administrator, you always get the full information. So if they made changes to their timesheet, you can see that here as well. Let's see if there's anything else that I forgot. And of course, you can change your view here. So if you want to see it on per shift, you can do that as well. So this is a shift from 1 till 5, from 7 till 11, with the different users on here. So it really depends on what your preferred way is. I like it to see it with the people specifically, but that's totally up to you. But you see here all the information that you need. So that's really a very easy way to start using shifts. And so we've seen this being used, of course, with student workers, bus drivers, cafeteria people, maintenance people, but also substitute teachers are being put in here, where open shifts are just the classes that they can pick up, and then they go in and say, I want to do this one, I want to do that one. What is really cool is that you can also see how many hours they are assigned to, especially with student workers. You want to keep track of it because there's some legal requirements about how many hours they can work and how many hours they should work if they're, for example, in some financial benefit plans. And so you can actually get that out of this tool as well. And I will open it up here for questions. I see we have 7 minutes left.
Yeah, that was fantastic content, man. I appreciate it. Anybody who has questions, please pop them into the IM window at this time. If you can't reach that, of course, the community call channel in the MS Office Hours team as well. You can put questions there. Is anybody already using this? Maybe that's a question I should ask of the community. All of us have volunteers, not to mention hourly workers too. I know I came from a rural K-12, and one of the issues that we had was just staffing sporting events and stuff that where this would have been really handy too.
I liked it. It was really good. Thanks.
So it's Jose, are you saying you guys are already using this? Somebody said that. Oh, that was it.
Preston, can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can.
Hey, this is James from Emory. So, is there a way to lock down the schedule so no further changes can be made? And the reason why I'm asking is in some of our clinical areas, because we do have a huge healthcare entity, they have been looking at shifts, and because some areas are still doing it by paper and pen for shift scheduling. But one of the things that they find as a benefit is that once the schedule is locked, there's no other changes to be allowed. Because there's punitive impact if an employee has to call out for that, because this is patient-related areas. And so one of the things they did ask is, I love the ability we can print it out and we can do other things with it, but is there a way to keep employees from swapping shifts and doing anything else? You know, just that, hey, this upcoming week it is locked. No more changes.
Yeah, so there will always be the ability to offer it and to swap it, but it will never go through unless the administrator says yes, right? So there's still always that administrator who has to say yes. So if you have, for example, the policy that we're not approving any swaps, any offers, anything within your policy in 7 days, from today till 7 days, after that it might be open. That's exactly what you can do. So if your administrator is just like, no, this is within 7 days, I'm not approving this, they just decline it and it's not changed.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it. Let's see. So one of the questions that was asked too, and I think you actually had this on yours, Jethro, when you were demoing it, was can you use military time? I think yours was set that way, wasn't it?
So mine is, yeah, I always still use the whole 24-hour time. So you should be able to do this, yes. So it's just a setting. It's actually a user setting, to be honest.
Okay. On that because that's how you have your system.
That's how my mobile phone is set up.
Ah, okay.
Because here, for example, you see the PM EM. No, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. This is Lisa Isingwida from Ithaca College. I'm actually driving right now, so thank you. This is great having it on Teams. So bear with me, but I have some questions. We're interested in using shifts in a few areas, and one question is, can we delete or manage the request, the vacation time and the sick time? Can we? I know we can add additional items, but can we remove items that are there? So in some cases, we don't utilize like vacation time, but we, work through that in other ways.
So you can't remove that they can add for time off.
Okay.
You can change the categories, but you cannot remove the ability to request time off.
Okay. And then can you have other managers, like who is the owner, who is the administrator that has to, accept the requests for time off? Can you distribute that to like student managers, in our case in higher ed? Can you have different levels of, administrators?
So right now it's the administrator of the team and the administrator of the group that you create in shifts. We're actually working with the flow team to allow, like, for example, the real manager, so the AD manager, to approve it. But right now it's actually the shifts manager who approves that.
Oh, cool. And then I had another question too about like templates. So we often have, very similar shifts throughout the academic year. So it'd be nice to be able to select, from a drop-down list, what shifts, you want to post. So when you're posting an open shift, maybe select your 1 to 2:30 instead of typing it in every time.
No, but you can copy and paste with everything in it. So if you have one of those shifts laying around, you can just copy it and paste it where necessary.
Cool. And then one more question. Sorry, I'm
Sure.
capitalizing here. So for open shifts, when you're posting an open shift, is there the ability to post it to the entire team? It seems like you have to select an individual, but could you kind of post it as an open shift to the group?
The open shift is a part of a group. So if your team would be one group, then you have that opportunity. And it's the open shifts actually in your mobile app will live under open shifts. So people go in there and whoever claims it and gets approved, that's the person who gets it. So open shifts are there per group, not per user.
Got it. Awesome. Thank you.
Sure.
Hey, Jethro, one of the things that popped up, Rob had suggested, could you use Flow to auto-deny all shift swap requests? I think the answer to that's going to be no, because Flow operates on the individual user basis, and you wouldn't be able to programmatically look in everybody's inbox, right?
Correct.
Hey, this is Lawrence from UT. I got a quick question. Is there going to be the ability in the future for people to swap shifts without manager approval and not have to be the owner of the team?
Yeah, it's going to be a configurable option.
I like simple answers like that. Yes, that's going to be possible. Let's see. What if we don't see shifts in teams and the policy is set to allow all apps?
Then you need to go into as to your admin. There's so shifts technically comes from a vertical which we call first line workers. And so if you go into your team's admin console, and you can actually see it here on my screen, the last one is called first line worker configuration, and it will take you into the staff hub, old staff hub admin. And so you have to make sure that it's enabled here. So if it's not enabled here, it means that your administrator has not made it available to you yet. And so that's just the flip of the switch.
That's awesome. And so that's actually a great piece of information for everybody to know, which is anytime you see stuff from Microsoft that applies to first line workers, that's actually for you guys, the same type of people that Jethro was talking about. And so give that some thought, whether that for you is bus drivers or, the maintenance workers or those types of different staff folks who are not necessarily sitting in front of their computers or standing in front of a classroom all day long. They may be a perfect example and will likely fit many of those. Looks like we have another question here, Jethro. Earlier you mentioned being able to self-service groups and gave a URL to get the interface for the user to add themselves to a group. Can someone please give me the URL again? I will put it here. Sorry, I didn't realize it wasn't related to this, Jethro. No worries. But that is just myapps.microsoft.com. So I'll put that in for you right now. Let's see what other things have come up. Anything in the other channel? I think that is it. Any other questions you guys have? Anybody want to come off mute and ask Jethro a last minute question here? I know we're a few minutes over. Okay.
For anybody that's still hanging out, I had one question more of just the community. I think we still have We still have a few folks hanging on. I can't necessarily tell.
Right. Do you mind if I stop the recording real quick,
Yep,
Dave?
go ahead.